So you've learned about the if and else statements. In the if and else statements, the condition is evaluated, and if it evaluates to true, the block of code for the if statement gets run. Otherwise, the block of code for the else statement gets run. Well, that's all good and well, but what if there's more than two possible outcomes? What if you need like the three different possibilities? Like, for example, I'm going to create a little thermostat program here. If the temperature is too cold, it's going to say it's too cold. If it's too hot, it's going to say it's too hot. And otherwise, it's going to say the temperature is perfect. But that's three possibilities. With the if-else statements, you can only do two possibilities. So here, we're going to have to use something called an else-if statement, which is very similar to an if statement. It's basically the combination of an if statement and an else statement into one new statement. So here we go. The maximum temperature that the room can be before the thermostat freaks out is 70 degrees. I like it pretty cool. So we'll use an integer. Max temp is 70 degrees. And the minimum temperature will be 60. Anything in between these two is perfect. So well, first we have to define what the temperature is. Int temperature is equal to, right now it's 65 degrees. Pretty nice. So now we need a test. If temperature is less than the minimum, we need to say it's too cold. There we go. And if it's greater than the maximum, we're going to say it's too hot. But here's the thing. If it's neither of those, we need to say the temperature is just right. It's not too cold, it's not too hot, it's just right. Sorry about that, couldn't resist. So instead of having just another if statement or putting an else statement, and none of those would work super well, we have what we call an else if statement, where it's like an else statement, but it also has a condition. Else if temperature is greater than max temp, we're going to print it's too hot. So if this condition evaluates to true, it will execute this, and it will not test any of this afterward. If this evaluates to false, it's going to check this one next. If this one's true, it will evaluate the code in here, and if it's not, it's going to run what's in this final else statement, which says the temperature is just right. There we go. So now let's run this program and see what happens. The temperature is just right. It's neither above 70 or below 60. But what if we say the temperature is 75 degrees? Now it's too hot, and if we change it to 55 degrees, it should say it's too cold. So this is what happens. It first tests this one. Now, right now, this one is true. 55 is less than 60, so it says it's too cold. When we had it at 75, this of course was false, so it went on to the next one. And, of course, 75 was greater than the max temp of 70, and it did this. Now, when we had it set to 65, this one was false, and this one was false, so it just went to the else statement. If any of these is true, it will not go to the else statement, and if any of your else ifs evaluate to true, it will not go on to the next else if. It will stop. So only one of these will ever be run. And here's something else. With the if statement, you can just have a single if statement by itself. You can't have any of these other statements by themselves, but you can have an if statement with else if statements and not have an else. You don't need an else, but it's usually a good idea to have it. And also, you can have as many else if statements as you want. You could have one else if statement, you can have 20 if you wanted to, but that would be really crazy. And like I said, or like you learned in the past, you don't even need an else if statement at all. It just makes programming a lot easier in some situations like this one. Well, that's all you need to know about the else if statement, and I hope you keep watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.